So my name's Kerry Leeson-Beevers. I'm the Chief Exec of Alström Syndrome UK. Alström Syndrome UK is a patient-led organisation, so we support people living with a rare condition called Alström Syndrome. It's ultra rare, so there's only 94 people in the country with the condition. So the challenges we were facing before we came to the Cranfield Trust was really just about being specific on the direction that we wanted to go in. But there's lots of competing priorities within a small charity, and we all tend to kind of focus on the things that are really impacting the families and want to make a difference to the lives of families. But sometimes, we really need to take that step back and say, okay, we know where we want to get to, but how do we take those steps to kind of get there, and how do we know that we're doing what our families need in the first place, and how are we going to measure that and evaluate that to show the kind of impact that we're making later down the line. Yeah, so when we first started working with Cranfield Trust, we were introduced to Adam, and right from the very beginning, really, it was a really positive experience. So Adam really kind of helped us explain the process of how everything works, which was helpful because the previous work that we'd done with Cranfield were done by our last CEO. So although I was aware of and involved in what was happening, I was now in a different role. So Adam were really helpful in explaining the different steps.
Define really what aspects of the strategy needed putting together, what timescales were for completing, making sure that the CEO was committed diary space to developing the project and the strategy, and covering really the practicalities around how the charity would work with a volunteer and ensure good communication throughout the project.
He then took me through the journey to excellence, which I found a really good, helpful resource, really thinking about this is where we're at now, and really identifying kind of the strengths within our organisation, but then also identifying the areas where there may have been any particular weaknesses or areas where we needed to improve. And I think that really helped to set the scene really of the journey that we were about to go on with Cranfield. So when we were introduced to our volunteer Gina, we had quite a few meetings, and right from the very beginning, I really felt like Gina was the right person for us as an organisation.
So I think Gina was a good match, just really from a personality perspective. Gina is quite caring in the way that she moves through a project, clearly with a charity that has particular and quite rare health needs. I think some sensitivity to that around developing the project was really useful, and then really helping the charity determine where the risks are. That's really in her field of expertise.
Right from the early days with Gina, we did have that really good working relationship. She was very understanding of who we are and of our needs, but also very kind of methodical, very specific around needing to set timelines, which we needed to help keep us on track. And I think, Gina was a really good critical friend to me. And I think it was really good to have somebody outside of our organisation that didn't know us to be able to look at, okay, this is who we are, this is what we do. Does that make sense? Because actually, to us it does when you're working in something every day, and to people who know us within the rare disease community. But one of the things we want to do is to make sure that anybody who gets a new diagnosis of Alström, it's very clear of, with what we say and the information we share, is that clear? I think for our beneficiaries, I think what it's done is it's really highlighted that the priorities will always be our families, and family support came out as a top priority, which wasn't a surprise. But I think it just reinforced that is the kind of the thread that runs through all of our organisation, really, and that was helpful. And I think in the longer term, this project is really going to benefit our beneficiaries. There's been ways for them to feed into our priorities and what our values and things are. So that while my hope is that people have felt that they've been included in that, I think the benefit for our beneficiaries is going to come later down the line now as we start to implement some of the plan that we've developed, and how that's going to benefit people in the long run in terms of the things that we've identified, such as more peer-to-peer support and particular activities that people can get involved in, the work we want to do around health and well-being. I think it's the fact that sometimes I think for any organisation you have long to-do lists and things always get pushed to the bottom of the list. I think now we've been really clear on what we need to prioritise, and we're really going to start to get things done.
So I think for Alström Syndrome UK, the importance of leadership and strategic direction, I think, is a lot around confidence, and producing the strategy as part of as the key deliverable from the project really has given Kerry the confidence, Kerry the CEO, the confidence to take forward the charity. When I went through the post Journey to Excellence review after the project had finished, we went down a series of questions, and although the sort of biggest movement was in that area of the Journey to Excellence, there were several other areas where she felt more confident, and it had improved her already good relationship with the board, because they knew where they were going, and they realised they'd got a plan for each aspect of how the charity operated.
It's just all been really positive. I think one of the really good things is earlier this year we were able to get together as a team. We brought everyone together, or the staff team spent some time together, and the board of trustees really, and the event, the workshop that we had was facilitated by Gina, really teasing out the things that are important to us and the areas where we needed to develop. And I think doing that really early on was particularly helpful then when it came to writing the plan and making sure that everybody's input was included in that in some way. So, and I think that really helped us to gel as a team, because we don't always get that time to spend together. And also it was nice to be facilitated by somebody else so that we could really sit back and think. Sometimes, as I say, we're so busy in our day-to-day work, but taking that time to sit back, work together to come to a solution, I think has done the team a lot of good. And I can still see that now, 6 months down the line. I think it's, I can still see the difference that's made.